Why is it that when someone hurts you, ignores you, or treats you like you don't matter, your first instinct is to reach out even more? You text them, you call them, you show up where you know they'll be. You convince yourself that if you just try harder, explain better, or love louder, they'll finally see your worth and come back. But here's what actually happens. The more you chase, the further they run. And there's a psychological reason why the no contact rule works so devastatingly well that most people completely miss. But before I explain that, you need to understand why everything you've been told about getting someone back is actually making things worse. Every time you reach out to someone who's pulled away, you're essentially telling them that their absence is more important than your presence. You're communicating that their silence is so unbearable that you'll do anything to break it, even if it means sacrificing your dignity in the process. But there's something even more damaging happening that you probably don't realize. When you chase someone who's running away, you're actually rewarding their bad behavior. Think about it. They treat you poorly, you respond with more attention. They ignore you, you respond with more effort. You're literally training them to treat you worse. But the real reason no contact works has nothing to do with punishment or playing games. And this creates something psychologists call scarcity. The same person who was taking you for granted suddenly realizes you're not guaranteed. But here's where most people get no contact completely wrong. They think it's about making the other person miss you. That's only half the story, and it's not even the most important half. The moment you become too available, too predictable, too eager to please, you stop being a challenge. And without challenge, there's no chase. Without chase, there's no excitement. But here's what's really happening in their brain when you disappear, and why this knowledge is crucial for your success. When someone becomes genuinely unavailable, not playing hard to get, but actually moving on, it triggers something primal in the human brain called loss aversion. We're biologically wired to fear loss more than we value gain. But there's a specific way this shows up in relationships that changes everything. But no contact isn't just about them. In fact, the most powerful aspect of no contact has nothing to do with whether they come back and everything to do with what happens to you while they're gone. And if you don't understand this part, no contact will never work for you. When you stop focusing all your energy on trying to fix a broken connection, you finally have space to examine why you were so willing to accept less than you deserved in the first place. You start asking the hard questions, but these questions are useless unless you understand the deeper pattern they reveal about your attachment style. Why did you chase someone who was running away? Why did you beg for attention from someone who clearly didn't want to give it? The answer lies in something called anxious attachment. And until you heal this, you'll keep attracting the same type of people who require you to chase them. No contact forces you to sit with yourself, to remember who you were before you lost yourself in someone else's chaos. But here's the crucial part most people miss. If you don't use this time to actually heal your attachment wounds, you'll just repeat the same pattern with the next person. And something beautiful happens during this time, but only if you do it right. You start to remember your worth. Not the worth someone else assigns to you based on their mood, but your inherent worth as a human being who deserves love, respect, and consistency. But knowing your worth and feeling it are two completely different things. You begin to understand that the right person won't make you chase them. They won't leave you guessing about their feelings or wondering where you stand. But here's what nobody tells you about finding the right person. You can't attract secure love from an anxious place. Meanwhile, what's happening on their end? At first, probably nothing. They might even feel relieved that you've stopped reaching out. No more difficult conversations. No more emotional intensity. But then something interesting starts to happen in their subconscious mind. They start to notice your absence. The person who used to text them first every morning isn't there anymore. The person who used to make plans and reach out isn't doing that anymore. But here's the psychology that makes this so powerful, and why it works even on people who seemed completely indifferent to you. When you were always available, you had no value in their mind because they never had to work for your attention. But now that you're gone, their brain starts to wonder if they made a mistake. This is called the scarcity principle, but it only works if your absence is permanent, not strategic. This is why no contact works. Not because it's a manipulation tactic, but because it's authentic. You're not pretending to be unavailable while secretly hoping they'll notice. You're actually becoming unavailable because you've realized you deserve better. But here's the part that determines whether this works or backfires completely. You're not playing games. You're playing for keeps. You're not trying to win them back. You're trying to win yourself back. And this shift in motivation is what makes all the difference between no contact that works and no contact that fails miserably. But here's what makes no contact so powerful, and why it works even when you don't want the person back anymore. Whether they come back or not, you win. If they don't come back, you've saved yourself from wasting more time on someone who wasn't right for you anyway. If they do come back, they're coming back to a different version of you, someone who knows their worth, someone who won't accept less than they deserve. But here's the test that determines if your no contact was real or just another manipulation strategy. For no contact to truly work, it has to be genuine. You can't do it as a strategy to get them back. You can't secretly hope they'll break first and reach out. Real no contact means accepting that this person might be gone forever and choosing to be okay with that. But here's the paradox that makes no contact so effective. The less you do it to get them back, the more likely they are to come back. The more genuinely you move on, the more attractive you become. But only if you understand why this psychological principle works. When you stop needing someone's validation to feel worthy, you become magnetic to others. When you stop making someone else's feelings more important than your own, you start attracting people who value your feelings. But this transformation only happens if you do the inner work. So if you're reading this because someone has hurt you, disappointed you, or left you feeling like you're not enough, understand this. Your worth isn't determined by whether someone chooses to stay in your life. But knowing this intellectually and feeling it emotionally are two different things. The no contact rule works because it forces you to stop looking for validation in all the wrong places and start finding it within yourself. But only if you use this time to heal the wounds that made you accept less than you deserved in the first place. And that transformation, that return to your own power, is worth more than any relationship that requires you to lose yourself to maintain it. Because once you truly understand your worth, you'll never again chase someone who's running away from you.